and we are here to talk about Halloween-Aversary.
Damn, that was a good one, too.
1, 2, 3. Post Show and Tell with Dr. Ken.
Hello. Welcome to Post Show and Tell for Dr. Ken. I'm Joz Wang, your host. This is my guest co-host.
Hi, I'm JD Brown, a communications expert.
So, you may have noticed we're not on our usual set location. We are really in a car, and we are really on an epic road trip.
Epic.
So right now, we are in
Rockport, Maine, Rockland, Maine, Gym, Maine. We're in some rock.
We're definitely in Maine. We're heading down to Boston.
Yep.
But it's been a lot of fun just because we've been in a car together. We've been able to talk. We were able to watch the episode last night on a screener, and so that's why we wanted to talk to you about it from the car. Don't we have some of the best conversations in the car?
Oh, don't you have some of the best conversations in the car? I mean, we certainly have had. I know so much more about you. Maybe I'll share them someday. No. What happens in the car on Epic Road Trip stays in the car on Epic Road Trip.
Better. And we are here to talk about the episode Halloween-Aversary. So in this episode, a lot of really cool stuff happens because it's Halloween.
Halloween!
So everybody's dressed up, and there's some stuff going on at the HMO where Dr. Julie accidentally drugs Pat.
Oh.
And at home, we've got Molly and Dave doing some brother-sister stuff. It's a little bit of scheming, a little bit of sibling stuff going on, and a lot of the storyline is around Ken and Allison and the way that he proposed, 20 years ago, and how he screwed it up and wanted a do-over. So anyway, this is actually one of my favorite episodes because we see everybody dressed up. It's fun, and so we talked to some of the cast members about what they thought of this episode. We are back on the set of Dr. Ken here with Jonathan Slavin. He plays Clark Beavers.
Clark Leslie Beavers.
Leslie Beavers on the show. And I love your character.
Thank you. I like him a lot too.
You've done a lot of different kinds of roles. What's different about the character of Clark that you find very fun and interesting?
I tend to play people who are socially awkward and kind of on the fragile side. Mm-hmm. And while Clark has some awkwardness, he's actually he's not awkward. He really kind of owns himself and owns his space, and he's not self-conscious at all. He's just kind of all out there, and that's fun for me because I don't get to do that very often. I usually am I'm kind of a dork and I'm fragile and weird, and Clark has some weird stuff because I'm playing him and I'm weird, so I'm gonna bring that to everything I do. But he's like yes, I am weird, and it's just kind of all out there.
I mean, he's one of the most endearing characters on the show.
Oh.
And we don't really know that much about him, but we just love him because he's so sincere and so he just gives everything. You see him put his emotions out on his sleeve.
Yes. Oh yes. He feels things very, very strongly. And really I think the only character that he struggles with is Pat. I think Pat's hard for him because he knows how much conflict there is between Pat and Ken, and because he's always so team Ken.
Yes.
It's hard for him to find empathy for Pat.
So let's talk about the episode.
Okay, great.
We just watched,
okay.
Which is the Halloween-Aversary episode.
Love that episode.
And in this one, Clark actually is a driving force between the what's going on with Allison and Ken and the proposals or multiple proposals that are going on.
Yes.
Talk about the scenes that you did for the storyline.
Well, Clark gets out of the HMO. He goes shopping with Ken. He wants to buy a new ring for Allison. But that's sort of, Ken and I spending a lot of time together, that's more normal. But then things are starting to kind of fragment, and so Clark goes to see Allison. And it was the first time that I got to do a scene with Suzy Nakamura. And it was really, really, really good fun. Lots and lots of playtime. And she's, I'm a really big fan of Suzy's. Don't tell her because her ego was clearly out of control. But no, it was great, and I hope to do many more scenes with that woman.
So we had a chance to talk to Suzy Nakamura on the set. All right, so in the Halloween episode, Halloween-Aversary, it's not just Halloween we get to see people get dressed up, but one of the fun storylines is about Ken's proposal, or multiple proposals that he keeps screwing up. So how much fun was it to be basically playing with the storyline of Ken and Allison and of them basically getting together and becoming a couple.
It's wonderful because you reinforce that history, at least for performers, for ourselves. It's like they have a history, they had ups and downs, they had, weird experiences, and Ken and Allison's is they had this very anticlimactic, proposal at this pumpkin patch, basically.
Yeah, but what's funny is that there's a part where it's a flashback, but you guys basically look the same, And there's like the 20-year-old jokes, right? The Judge Ito jokes,
right.
etc. But you guys pretty much look the same.
Just like in real life.
I know.
Yeah.
So
that was an Asians don't age joke. I wasn't patting myself on the back or anything like that.
We were just talking about this. We have a bunch of viewer questions. One of the viewer questions is from Justin in Houston.
Okay.
And he wanted to know how you stay looking so young.
I mean, I can't take any credit because I don't do anything. It's genetics. It's like 100% genetics.
Yeah.
I don't eat right. I don't exercise. I don't drink enough water.
This is not a doctor advice.
No. I don't use good products on my face or my hair. I buy things that are on sale. So it's all genetics.
It's all lucky. We had a chance to talk to Krista Marie Yu on the set. How did you get into acting, or do you not want to talk about that?
I was an ice skater, and I loved the artistic side. It was way better artistically than technically. And from there, I did shows on ice, and then I did a lot of acting in school plays, and then from there, it just became a passion.
So in Halloween-Aversary,
Yes.
This episode's a ton of fun because Molly and Dave get to have a little bit of fun brother and sister interaction. Talk about what it's like to be an older sister in this situation and what you guys are doing.
It's great. It is the first time it really is just me and Albert having a scene together and having Dave and Molly versus the parents, just really trying to work together as a team because sometimes things happen. Like I remember as a kid, I spilled something on the floor, and I ran to my brother and I said, I spilled cranberry juice, and I was like, please don't tell mom. And he went and got the club soda, and like we were sitting on the ground like working it out, and every time they walked by we were just like so it was a very similar episode to that where the little brother comes through and helps me figure out my big problem with Gary because my dad trusted me and I want him to keep trusting me.
Like I actually really relate to this situation because I'm a big sister too, and I have a little brother, and my little brother is actually very close in age to me, so we would do all kinds of things together. But I think like one of my favorite relationships on this show is actually the brother and sister relationship. It's incredibly sweet, and I love. There is a little bit of an age gap, but I do love that Molly is an older sister, and as an older sister, I just love this character.
Molly definitely is the older sister, and she loves Dave so much. He can sometimes be annoying, but it's all love for him. And I mean, it's so easy to love Albert that it just all comes out very organically.
We had a chance to talk with Kate Simses on set.
So in this episode, the Halloween episode, we see you dressed up.
Yes.
Tell us, like, for those of us who maybe didn't know
Yeah.
what this character is, who was it and how much fun was it to be?
So this was Khaleesi from Game of Thrones, if you're familiar. She is the mother of dragons, and I walked into the costume room, and they pulled out the dragons who sat perched on my shoulders for the entire episode. They were the most amazing co-stars to have. And the long wig, since I was a tiny kid, I wanted long blonde hair. It was a dream costume for me, and I am a fan of Game of Thrones. So
if you were to choose a costume character,
yes.
If you were to choose a costume for your character,
Yes.
what would it be?
Oh my gosh, one other than that. I think she's probably a huge Downton Abbey fan. Something like that.
Oh, a period piece.
Yeah, like a period piece, maybe something out of a Jane Austen novel. Although I do think maybe like even Meg Ryan, because I think rom-coms are her sweet spot. So yeah, something like that.
So for your character, we're starting to get to know her a little bit more, you know, through just the interactions at work at the HMO, and also through her friendship with Clark, and just kind of some of the things. What do you hope for your character, and different ways for us to get to know her over time?
I hope that at some point we get to see Julie actually practicing some medicine, like actually interacting with a patient, sort of that, because I do believe that she's very book smart and that she really probably had, you know, ace grades throughout her schooling, but that sort of personal interaction with a patient, I think that's something she's going to need to work on. So I feel like that's something I would like to see.
I think so too, because I think when a lot of us watched the first few episodes, it wasn't clear that she was a doctor.
Yes, I've heard that. Yeah, I think that needs to be a little clearer. But that gives you an idea of how much responsibility they want to give Julie initially, because they're like, I don't know about this girl. So hopefully she'll come into her own a little bit more in the medicine part of the journey.
Okay, and so if we wanted to follow you on Twitter, what's your Twitter handle?
It's easy. It's at Kate Simses on Twitter.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Kate.
Thank you, guys. Thank you,
Bye.
Joz.
Thank you. So one of my favorite storylines in this particular episode is all about the proposal. I mean, it's Halloween-Aversary.
Right.
But it's, you know, it's all hooked around Ken and his idea of this magical, beautiful, wonderful proposal that gets messed up the first time around. I mean, clearly they have a great marriage, but, you know, he really wants Allison to have that proposal that he had planned in his mind. Do you have any experience with this?
Well, interesting that you asked that. Yes, actually, I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say that our proposal's messed up, but so my partner Eric and I were out to dinner. I'd planned the whole thing. I'd had, you know, a beautiful, or, you know, it was our favorite Karma place to eat, and so our favorite server came out and brought dessert, and I had them write like, "Will you marry me?" on the dessert. And the first thing is that Eric thought that the server was proposing to him, which I thought was rather odd. And we love her, but like that was rather odd. And the second thing is he looks down at it and he looks at me with his ring, which is a story for another day, and he slaps me right across the face as his first response. So I thought that's rather interesting. So not that I would change that proposal because it is truly us and our relationship, but not quite the fairy tale in your head that you think it might be. So
I mean, it's a good story now.
It's a great story. I love it.
And it doesn't stop you from doing it again.
That's true.
You know.
That's true.
So anyway, that was one of my favorite storylines in this particular episode.
Yeah, it was a good one.
So I really enjoyed this episode because of all the Halloween costumes. I gotta ask you, what was your favorite Halloween costume growing up?
You know, I think my favorite Halloween costume was my mom, who used to own like a thrift store, sewed together all these crappy old fur coats, and I went as Gizmo one year, and it was brilliant. I had this head that was the size of a car. It was amazing. I loved Gizmo so much. It was fun. And how about you?
Well, my Halloween costumes were not quite as interesting, so I think we need to ask the viewers.
Good call.
What was your favorite Halloween costume? Tell us in the comments. Like us, subscribe us, thumbs up us, subscribe, everything, you know, all that stuff. And let us know. We'd love to share with the cast and crew some of your favorite Halloween costumes. And if you had any wishes for the Dr. Ken cast of what they should do in future Halloween episodes, please let us know. So JD, thank you so much for joining me on this road trip.
Well, thank you for having me on this road trip.
But more importantly, thanks for being my guest co-host here for Post Show and Tell for Dr. Ken. We will see you next time.
Bye.
I love how we've jerry-rigged all the random things that we have in this car.
Yeah, it's true.
To make us to put that camera up.
I mean, it's pretty phenomenal that we can record post-show and Ken and Tell from the road.
You know, it's kind of awesome if we could just like really, actually, if we planned to do this in the right way.
We could have GoPro'd it or something. We could have like found a GoPro and just actually filmed ourselves the entire way. That would be pretty remarkable.